So, welcome to the Podcast Cast. This is the second episode of our preludes to the future series A Trip to the West, an original tale or story. I can't remember. I'm not going to do another take. We only do one here. We get it in one.
Because we're that professional.
Yes, that's the word we're using. So here I have with me Ark. Hello, Ark.
Hello.
And we're going to go over your character's backstory and just kind of lead into how we get up to the point before you all actually meet. The questions I'm going to ask you aren't necessarily set in stone. We can change things in the future if we decide that, if you decide later that you have a better answer for something. We can just go back to it. I'm recording it all on a sheet that you all can see, and we can all refer back to it, and this will just give you some fun, juicy bits to use in the future.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. So let's start with your character's name.
Well, my character's name is Trench Ferem.
Is that like your like a noble name, or is that just the name that he was born with?
That's his noble name. Like, his last name symbols his house that he's a part with, which is the House of Ferem.
Okay.
But his actual Exalted name is the Thin White Duke.
Love that. All right.
Yep.
What's your what are your parents' names?
Well, my parents' names are I don't know, because my uncle and aunt mainly raised me.
Okay.
I presume they probably died in the war, in some war, but Trench does not know that.
Okay. What are your aunt and uncle's names?
Ferem and Faye.
Thay, like They?
Fey.
Oh, Faye. Farron and Faye. I assume the uncle is Farron and the aunt is Faye?
Yes.
Okay. Have they told you anything about your parents?
Not really. Trench probably presumes that his uncle didn't really have a good relationship with his brother, and that he generally tries to keep a secretive eye towards my parents. Although he did mention that his dad did fight in a couple wars.
Okay. What about your siblings? Do you have any?
He has one, and it's a sister. Also called Faye, after his aunt.
Okay. Is she your aunt's
Yes,
child?
so it's like his cousin.
Okay.
Although he kind of treats her like a sister, since they grew up together.
Cool. I'll definitely be bringing them in to the game at some point. So, in what region did you grow up? Or
I grew up in the north, in the town of Chirac. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
how do you spell? Okay.
Cherak.
Chirac. Okay. About what region of the north? Like, is that like near north, far north, northeast, northwest? Like
Far north.
Far.
It took me a while to journey to the west.
All right. Have you ever been to the Blessed Isle?
Actually, no. Trench has not, but he really wants to.
Okay.
That's one of his dreams, is to head over to the Blessed Isles.
Cool. I'll have you and I'll have Trench and Nico meet elsewhere then. That's neat. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
When Trench looks back at his childhood, how does he feel about it? Like, when he's just when it just pops up into his head.
He feels kind of like a euphoria feeling. Because whenever he was a child, he would always go outside and play and make up, play pretend, kind of. He would always go out on these adventures, or hunt, or something like that. He'd always go out in the woods and do something. Especially with his classmates, too. And at the end of the day, he would go home and he would write about the adventures he had. So he generally has a positive viewpoint on his childhood and how his uncle and aunt raised him.
Okay. What kind of school did he go to?
He went to a art school. Is there them in creation?
There are now. Like when you say in art school, like drawing, calligraphy, what kind?
Calligraphy,
Okay,
writing, like one that encourages expression. The only canon is your canon. Everything else is fan fiction.
that's true. That is exactly what I'm thinking very loudly. In fact, it echoed off of you. That's concerning. You should get yourself checked out. Have you ever around any kind of like radiation? Well, I do a podcast with a guy who has a lot of like underlying anger, and I can sometimes feel that in my bones.
Just a good way to vent.
Yeah. So yeah, like what kinds of art did he take with him from that school?
He took with him writing, drawing, especially. Like he has his own little sketchbook that he always takes with him that he'll fill with tons of sketches.
Okay.
Because at first he started doing writing, and he was like, you know, it'd be really cool, like a image type, so that I can hold on to for the rest of my life.
Okay, so like a sketchbook slash journal type of a thing.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever played Red Dead 2,
Oh, I haven't.
Red Dead Redemption. Oh no, well Arthur keeps his journal and he just like sketches on it all the time.
Neat. All right. So, what can you tell me about where you grew up?
He grew up in a very close knit area. It was like one of those areas where everyone knew each other, and it was like a very small town home vibe. Like after school, he would go out with his buddies and have fun, and he'd get home at like 6 o'clock and just pass out.
Okay, so you had a lot of free time as a child.
Yeah, I did have a lot of free time. Well, Trench did.
When what kind of like chores and stuff did he have to do, or was he like, were his aunt and uncle kind of in a position where he didn't really have to do the chores?
He didn't have to do the chores, but he kind of felt like he needed to. Because, once he was getting more older, his uncle was starting to grow older. So he had to, like, pick up his weight more and actually contribute to the household. And sometimes he'd even actually work in the fields just as volunteer work. Although if he wanted to, he could just lay around and do nothing.
Okay, so you were in a place in the far north that actually had enough to allow you to just kind of have idle time. Okay, that's interesting. Usually the north is just not great. Like people are nomads just because you can only grow so much food in one area before you have to move somewhere else. So your home had plenty. Home had plenty. Why did your home have what it had? Like, why did your home have so many resources, even though it is in the far north?
Probably because my uncle was a very hard worker, and he always loved what he wanted to do, and he would just work constantly.
Uncle, I scrolled down.
And you could also, yeah, and you could also like bring it down to like he might have had like an inheritance from his father.
Ferem had an inheritance, or Trench had one?
Ferem.
Okay. I'm going to say that there was also a domain nearby, or I guess it's pronounced domain. Like like a place where you could build a manse. And that was also keeping things stable enough to have forests and have these things, even though there should be, like basically, like, forests would grow out of the ice, as if they were soil. And that's a thing that Trench is used to. Like, that's normal for him, because why wouldn't they? And so when he left elsewhere, and people had, like, things growing out of soil, that was weird. Yeah.
It's like do with the Trench situation. It's like if you took a person who's never like seen snow before and bring them out to like Alaska. Like I am completely out of my element.
Yeah, oh no. So he grew up in a domain that basically provided a climate, or not even the climate, it was still just bitterly cold, but for some reason plants would grow, and so you could have like a permanent residence that far north. And people weren't in a position where they were basically pressing young you into work. Um, have you exalted prior to playing or prior to the game beginning?
Yeah, I'm gonna exalt like before the journey starts.
Okay. Do you have any story in mind as to what that was like, or like we can always come back to it in the future? Basically, play through it as a flashback and things like that.
Like I could picture him like, okay, I'm done with work. I'm just gonna push myself a little bit harder, right? And somehow he gets sidetracked and like I don't know, follows like this really weird looking animal into the forest. Because how naive he is and just
Hmm.
like, whoa, that looks cool. It could have been like a vision or something, and he's going more and more, and he suddenly gets lost. And you know, a child going into the wilderness at like sub-freezing temperatures, he's likely to die.
Hmm.
Although I don't know, would terrestrial be more powerful in that situation? Like dragon-blooded in the north, would they be more resilient to the weather?
Yeah, definitely. In the
All right.
especially in the system that we have right now, it's like your intrinsic ability is I get a bonus to anything that involves just the elements.
Hmm.
And so you basically sparking as one of the terrestrially exalted could inure you against the just the harshness of the environment as it is.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. It's like he's getting lost. He's like, and they choose him. Like the sun chooses him.
Okay. So you exalted after a harrowing trip through the wilderness, and eventually you made it back home.
Yes.
Did it change you? Like, did people tell you like you're different ever since this happened to you, or or also how did people react when you came out the way you did?
Oh, I get you. It's like I came home and it was like a month later, and it was just like, wait, what happened? Like, where'd you go? Were you like kidnapped or something? And he's like, no, I just was following this deer, like this strange deer that had like really weird neon markings on it,
Hmm.
like neon green markings on it. And the people there were like, okay, that's weird. And Trench, he kind of changed a little after that. Because at first he was just this naive kid who, was just like, he'd chase literally anything that, you know, just caught his attention, like with like, he had very high ADD.
Hmm.
But then he started going more into like, wow, like, I kind of feel more powerful in this. Like, how did I survive? And he just constantly asked him these questions until one day, like he probably because when he was exulting, like quite literally, he became so hot that he melted all of the snow around him in in a mile radius.
Hmm.
So he thought that was very strange, and he just kept on having these questions, and no one could really answer for him because he kind of kept it to himself. Because like, oh, I was lost for like months, and the snow melted a radius near me. Like, okay, you're just crazy. Until he's like, wait, did I exalt? Because like maybe he was like one day reading a tale for his father, from his uncle, I mean, and talking about like dragon blooded and the terrestrials, and he's like, could I have been a terrestrial? Could I have been a dragon blooded?
Hmm.
And he's just like, it was a whole stage of questioning himself.
Yeah. So it sounds like you spent a lot of time not understanding what happened to you, and therefore not trying to use the powers that you had
Hmm.
until they came up.
Okay, so he was at school,
Hmm.
and one moment, these group of strange masked men came into the school, and they basically got everyone on, like, tied them up and everything, and they were ransacking the place, stealing from all of what they could. And one of the guys went to Trench and like, get on the ground, and he refused. And the guy punched him, and Trench just went into this massive rage. Just something that you would like you could just feel it if you were near him. Like the whole school could feel his like scream, and his scream was kind of like a shout, like in Skyrim,
Mm-hmm.
and it blew him back, the Marauder guy, back out of the wall, and flew him across like the fucking north. Like everyone could feel it. It's like the Fus Roda,
Yeah.
and that's when he discovered he was an air elemental.
Well,
Or
in
he
their
mainly
aspect.
gravitated towards hair.
Yeah,
Aspect, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Elementals are things. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
a different thing.
Damn it!
You're getting it wrong. I cannot push my glasses up far enough onto my nose to explain this to you.
Actually.
Oh, well, actually.
But yeah, upon seeing this, the gang immediately knew what Trench was and ran away. And it could be that they knew it and they were whispering to each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they too had the neon green markings.
Oh, okay.
All of this is connected.
All of this has happened, and all of this will happen again.
I'm giving you pieces, DM. Better not kill my uncle or aunt.
No, I generally make that a promise to players of like, no, if you make up a family, I'm not just going to kill them because, like, that's lazy GMing.
It's lazy GMing, and it forces the players to be like, oh yeah, all my parents and family are dead.
Now's
Just
the
so
part-
you can't have a plot hook point.
Now let's both take a second, look at the camera. That's right, GMs, we're looking at you. If you've done this, you're kind of a jerk. Let your players have families.
It's perfectly normal.
It actually makes for interesting roleplay, which we'll see, because your family will come up. I'm actually
Yes.
really excited to play your cousin.
Oh god.
How does your family support you?
Support me?
Yeah,
Like,
like,
support...
did they support you after you ended up being outed as like a champion, like capital C champion, and then also into the modern day? Like, if you go back, will they welcome you with open arms? Do they ever try to deliver you care packages to wherever they think that you're going to be? Do you all keep in touch somehow?
Yes. Like, Trench probably talks to them bi-monthly. Hopefully. Like, when he was going on adventures, he would, like, once he got home, he would immediately go to his uncle or his cousin
Okay.
and tell him how his adventure went. And it kind of stopped once... it didn't stop. It just kind of halted when he had a wife and kids.
What's your wife's name?
Marah.
Marah.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about her.
Yeah. So Trench and Marah met while adventuring. They were all a part of like this. They just met while adventuring. You know, he was probably visiting some island that is like a really weird, cryptic area, and he met her. And he was a lone adventurer. She was a lone adventurer, and they decided to go on adventures together. She was very, let's say, struck that he was an actual champion and that, you know, he was an actual dragon-blooded. And it kind of didn't, a lot of the times they were kind of all quiet about it, and they just formed this party. You know, she would mainly be the navigator of the ship that they were in. Or the person that, you know, rode the horses or something like that. She would be the person who does more on-the-ground human things, while if there was some type of fight, Trench would probably be in the front lines. Although Marah was a really good, talented fighter.
Okay.
She mainly used 2 rapiers.
Super anime. I love it.
Yes.
Again, people, if you're running Exalted and you don't like anime, why are you playing Exalted?
How in God's name did you get into this?
You could just go play a different game. There's a name I can't remember. Pendragon. There we go. Go play Pendragon.
Oh, what's Pendragon?
It's a different game.
Mhm.
I'm actually not making fun of Pendragon. Like, I have a coworker who plays it and really enjoys it. So go play Pendragon, people.
This episode is sponsored by Pendragon.
I mean, it's not, but it could be.
It could be.
Contact us. We'll make it. We'll make it work. What about your kids?
My kids, I have around 3 daughters.
Okay.
You make up the 3 names. I don't know.
Okay, I'll name them later. Name, name, and name. Do you have any notes about them, or are they mostly on the wayside for now, and maybe we'll come in later?
They haven't really developed a lot of personalities yet. I mean, okay, I know dragon-blooded and human years are kind of different, but they're compared to like a 5-year-old girl.
Okay.
So they're just starting to, get their personalities developed and be individuals.
Okay. And again, like your daughters are just people. They might have like markings on them, like cool, rad tattoo things that aren't really tattoos, and whatever else. But they are just people. Just in case that was a question. Let's see. I have a lot already. I just feel like there's so much more I could be asking. Um,
Yeah, they have like faint, like grayish markings that are starting to develop more into their bodies. Like they have like weird symbols on their palms.
Okay.
Like it looks like a water drop. But there's like one of the girls has like a snowflake.
Okay. Where's the merge? There. Okay. Oh boy. Let's see. So your wanderlust basically made you leave. It sounds like you just reached an age where you wanted to see what you were capable of and see the world at large. Do you know the crew you work with? Like, like you know them, but like, are you close with them, or did you just find a crew willing to take you on and then eventually become their leader?
It took like 5 years for Trench to develop the quote-unquote perfect crew. Like he did not just like pick up 5 random dudes from from the tavern or anything. He hand selected all of them. It's like in One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, actually, I mean early on in One Piece when like it is not comparable to One Piece because Luffy just hires anyone he thinks is cool. He wanted people that he could trust, and he wanted people that he knows can like rely on him, and he can rely on them.
Okay.
Because he was very picky about that thing.
So wanted people that he could trust. Okay.
Heck, some of the members might have even be his classmates
Oh yeah.
that he took with.
Well,
Because
definitely
Cause-
make notes on them, because like we have the crew thing. I'll say that that Diego was a classmate, and Roland was a classmate, and
because Trench was like, hey, you know how we always want to do these adventures, but we live in an Arctic hell. Well, come on, guys.
and I'll say Tiggs was a classmate, and then Tig's son is actually Tig's son. He's like, well, like he was just known as Tig's son for so long that even when he got really old enough, he might be like 8 or 9 at this point. So he's basically kind of like a cabin boy. I don't know if cabin boy is derogatory, but like, he's
It's not derogatory. It's
yeah, I think it's
he's
an actual
just
position.
there.
Yeah, but he's just like, yeah, like he handles a lot of the nonsense that goes on the ship, cleaning and this and that, and yeah, he's just like, no, I'm Tig's son. That's my name. That's what everybody has called me forever. I might change it someday, but haven't thought of anything better. And
We've already went down the rabbit hole.
like Tiggs is the one that you called out for, like, hurry up there.
Yeah.
Before, and so it's like I have like the note that he's lazy, but not.
He's lazy, but he tries.
It's like he's not even lazy. It's just he's a little bit slow to. He appears lazy, but it's just because he knows enough about what's going on that instead of like rushing to a thing, he's like, no, it's fine. It'll be ready when I get to it.
That's perfect.
But when things are happening, it's easy to just be like, Tiggs, hurry up.
What are you doing, Tiggs?
Yeah, hurry up. Oh my god. Alright, awesome. I think we have a good bit here. Where's your wife?
Between, huh?
Where's your wife and family now?
Our, I'd say that they'd probably be just traveling wherever they wanted to.
Okay, so they travel separate from you?
Yeah, like I'd picture she being into like the Blessed Isle, and me being very jealous because she's there.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so, okay. So they're just traveling the Blessed Isle. Maybe you all
Like,
struck it rich enough, or like you got enough like money to basically kind of matter, and so she's on the Blessed Isle, maybe kind of hobnobbing with people,
yeah,
and so eventually she might show up and be like, "Hey, so I made all these deals with people, and kept telling them about my rad husband who's a champion." And okay, so she's like actually networking for you.
yeah. Like she isn't like homebound. She will like take her kids wherever she feels like.
Yeah, I like that. So she's actively networking for Trench, but Trench, like, because it's hard to contact people in this world, you're not really exactly sure where she is, but you'll eventually meet up.
We told each other that there's like a specific meetup area, and
I-
word travels fast when you're dealing with a champion.
I imagine that one of the ways that word might get around to like somebody like you who's traveling is that word would be sent to a city with the order to like copy the message and then like bring it to like several cities, and then when you arrive at the docks you basically just check in, and then they'll give you that word and then somehow relate the fact that, or relay the fact that, like, okay, that's been received.
Yeah, because she has to go to a town sometime.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's ways of like communication, because in D&D there's always like you could always like have artifacts that is like a rock that lets you cast message.
Yeah, something
Are
like
there?
that. There's like dragon blood. Okay, so there's like sorcery. There's a spell called Infallible Messenger, which sends like a cherub to tell somebody something. And then there was a charm that Terrestrially Exalted have that was called Wind Carried Words Technique, which was like you spend some essence, and then you can spend more essence to make the message longer or make it travel farther.
Mm-hmm.
So like those types of things exist. Like you could definitely have a power like that. You could even have one that lets her answer.
Yeah, because isn't message like you can say something and they can reply to you once, and that's the end of the spell.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. Well, I mean, we could go through not Ark's relationship, Trent's relationship with Nico.
Okay. Yeah. How does
Because having an
so you if you've never been to the Blessed Isle, then you probably found Nico off in the west. Like he got onto a ship and was traveling with them, and then for whatever reason, maybe you were talking to the captain about how you needed somebody who's been further out west, and that captain said, "Hey, I have somebody," or maybe he just wasn't enjoying himself. I'll leave that up to Jarrett, like for that detail, and I'll write that down. But for yeah, like how do you think that Trench feels about Nico, or any other detail there?
Okay, so Trench, number one, he knew that if he was going to the west, that he needed a person with knowledge, person that could get him around, person that can be like, no, you probably don't want to do that. In a relationship between each other, he's noticed some characteristics between Nico, like how he's just like a I cannot think of it. He's just infatuated with the princes of the earth.
Oh yeah.
And
He idolizes you.
a sycophant.
There we go.
Yeah, a sycophant.
How does he feel
And
about that?
he feels uncomfortable, and okay. Wait a minute. Like, you are perfect. I'm not really that perfect.
I'll do anything you ask me to. No, wait.
Please don't.
I mean, I'm not going to ask you to do anything terrible, and as a captain, I do like it when my crew follows orders, but oh boy. Come on, little buddy. Okay. Let's see.
He's kind of uncomfortable with that, but
So, why are you going to the west?
to
Like,
so
do you have a
mhm.
goal in mind or anything?
One of the major goals is to document uh, everything about the West because he's heard so much about it. He's heard like how large it is and how many islands there are, and he's
Hmm.
heard that there's a lot of secret stuff in the West, and also that he might he finds it a little strange that these neon green markings are right near like has happened near him. Like
Hmm.
he's witnessed these things, and he probably wants to learn more about it. And as you know, the West is all about that knowledge. Like the whole reason why he's journeying is A, because he loves to, and he wants to write a cool book about it, but also because he wants to learn more about who are these people. Were the Marauders a part of this? What happened? What was this deer thing? And he has yet to learn that information.
Okay.
Also because sailing is really cool.
Rad AF.
Pretty much.
I mean, I agree. There we go.
Like, if I was in creation, I would totally go down with the West.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the North, but I love the West.
My frail body could not stand the North.
Mine either. I would die so hard. Wait,
But the West, I think I can handle it.
I'll be careful. You'll be dead. All right. So I think that's about enough for now. We've got
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot
yeah.
of Trench. So that, I have a lot more stuff to flesh out about him. You have a lot of plot holes that you can throw in, and the viewers know more about Trench, and I like that.
Yeah. And I'm really excited to get all of you set up and ready to go.
Oh god, yeah.
I just have to finish making the game.
I do like the ideas that you were handing out, like it's kind of like Powered by the Apocalypse, or
Yeah, I'm just trying to find that happy medium to make it fun and purposeful and enjoyable.
like the original system that we're working on is okay, it's playable, but I do think that we could make it better,
Yeah.
or we could at least adapt it better.
Yeah, it is in pre-alpha stage right now, so that is not a scathing remark. Like, oh, the system could be better. Well, I would certainly hope so. As opposed to, I don't think the system can get any better. I think it is dead in the water. My dude, you just made D&D 3.0. You have character classes, and so quick story about the Stargate role-playing game. If you played as a soldier, your base attack bonus would actually suddenly drop at one level and then go back up again because there was a typo in their chart. Good job, guys. You did it.
You're professionals.
Yeah. You're not going to get that kind of quality from us, that's for sure. Alright, well, so I've been Insuling, and this has been a prelude. Ark, would you like to see us off?
Yes. So this has been the Podcast Cast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Insuling.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.